Here.
Mrs. Geiger.
Here.
Mrs. Edwards.
Here.
Mr. Benson.
Here.
Ms. Vedder.
Here.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
We had a discussion item on, but unfortunately I don't think Ira could make the meeting, so we'll do that in February. That was regarding the transfer tax and some of the other revenue enhancements that we were going to talk about.
He
So
said that you could do it next month, or if you want to do it at executive,
I guess we'll see how. Okay, so we will take care of that. Audit?
We're wrapping up year-end items, so we'll be looking at accounts payable versus our encumbrances. We've been looking at some contract issues with various departments. Again, just trying to get payment terms and things smoothed out. We've been working a lot with the grant closeouts for the river corridor map and home, and hopefully those are all coming to a close soon. We've been putting a lot of time in doing that, partnering with grants and planning. Currently working on 1099s for reporting purposes to the IRS for all of our vendors, which includes manual adjustments to enter all of ACC's vendors in our system to issue their 1099s, incorporating the state system with an import from the big system from DFS, and manually adjusting their information on off-book accounts, and going to begin working on our fixed asset reporting for year-end as well. To wrap up 2013, in duplicate payments and reduced vouchers, we reduced almost $212,000 on vouchers that should not have been submitted. Contracts that did not.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
That means departments may have put duplicate vouchers in or overbilled. If a contract's $18,000 and the voucher came in at $20,000, we add $2,000 to our, you should not have given it to us pile. So that totaled almost $212,000 for the year. Contracts.
Is that good or bad?
Ideally, if everybody was perfect, it'd be zero, but my department would probably be out of jobs, so it's a norm. It happens. Vendors sometimes send in duplicate vouchers, and
Does it happen every year?
yes.
So is 200,000 a lot?
I could compare from year to year, but it's probably on average. What is it per?
I know, but.
I can do that for
So this
you.
was overseen and caught and
Yes.
taken care of?
Yes, we did not pay it out as duplicates. For contracts that, vouchers that were submitted without proper contracts in place, that does not include anything that was authorized by the various extensions granted by the board. It totaled, almost 312,000, for the year. So we're diligently still working and watching out for the taxpayer dollars. If anyone wants a year-to-year comparison, I can put something together for that and email it to you if
It
you're
just, the
curious.
1 million was, could you say that again?
When vouchers are submitted without contracts being, fully authorized and signed off on. For instance, the department may know somebody did properly provide a service and the contract hasn't been signed off by somebody along the way, but they had the resolution and they knew it and something got snagged along the way, that kind of things that have occurred.
So is this like numerous vendors, it's like a collective
Yes,
amount?
we have the detail in our office.
Thank goodness you didn't.
Thank you.
most of that, the money should have been paid, right?
Yes, it's ultimately they did provide the service, the department did maybe do their due diligence, making sure the contracts have been fully executed before sending things on to our office. Great.
Surprise.
It's really hard to agree with
Okay.
the principle of
Okay.
that.
Any other questions
That was
for
the same
Angela?
agreement that we had before.
Angela, I don't know if it works for governmental or we can enter into it, but a lot of the larger nonprofits and companies are going with those intermediary vendors to do accounts payable stuff with, and it's supposed to provide, you get credits and rebates and what have you. Maybe, is that something you guys can take a look at, or if you haven't?
Yeah, we looked at it a little bit with purchasing with the procurement cards and such. I know that I think at that point, they still felt we were doing better, like for fuel oil on state bid and such. But is that what you're?
Or that, through the accounts payable process where you use, cuts out, you happen to cut the checks and all that, it's almost like a positive pay.
I know we've discussed that in Treasurer's office, and the concern at some points where people having access to the checking accounts and being able to draw money out without necessarily always having the authority. And the treasurer's office, I think, looked into that at one point, and I would defer to them if they were, because that would be more like electronic transfers and such. So I would defer to treasurers if they were open to allowing that to occur within their checking accounts.
Maybe just something to look into and see if it's viable, I don't know.
I can
I
talk
think
to-
Orange County did some of theirs went that way, but I know like the hospital went to that full system and it saved a fair
I
amount
can-
of money, so.
I can, check into that with treasurer's office and go from there.
It sounds like we're putting a lot of people in charge of our money instead of somebody really keeping close.
Yeah, I just tangentially know, and it's supposedly saved a fair amount of money, but I don't know if it's practical with what we do, but it's worth taking a look at, so.
I think that sometimes with our volume, in theory it sounded good, but with the volume, it was very difficult to even perform bank reconciliations and such, so there were some issues there, but I can try to set up an appointment with Nancy and we can talk.
Okay, and if I can dig up what I got, I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
Nancy, you want to do?
I handed it out.
Yep.
So I'll go quickly through it. The sales tax figure is day to day, so we're only up 67,000. The mortgage tax, we've been talking about it for a while, that this one is high, but it was brought to our attention through the county clerk's office that there were a couple that came in that were extremely high, that boosted this figure to be up. I'm not saying that, I mean, personally, that happens all the time in the different things with sales tax. You know, 1 year our sales tax was really high and we found out it was because somebody bought the airplane. So there are times when, I think the only reason we're just stressing that is to make, not to have an effect on next year, but not to automatically assume it'll be that way next year is pretty much why I'm saying that. And then the room tax, we do have one vendor that hasn't paid their quarter yet. And then the figure, the 629,000 was total after all the chargebacks through March are on there. So obviously we don't have that. I did look that there was around $20,000 that got pushed back, and we have a vendor that owes us probably 70,000. So we may still come in behind a little bit after everything gets finalized. And again, that's up to whether or not that vendor comes through or not too. So we may stay in the red this year.
That's a concern. I mean, when we talked about room tax in the past, if I remember correctly, there was an amount of room tax that was 15%
For the county use?
For administration.
For
to administration. And in the past, more of it went to the Visitors Association. We pulled back so that we administer better. And I'm wondering if we're doing any real checking on, you got a room without paying room tax or whatever that is. I mean, spot checking, are we yet spot checking?
We do have, Josh can answer, we did put into the budget this year to have auditors go out and check. We had
I mean,
pulled it
just
back, but
regular, isn't that part of the purpose of the 15% to do that spot checking?
But it was only 7.5%.
right, and
Okay.
it's actually our
Well, there's a big
administration
difference.
fee
I
of our
asked, I asked what it
employee.
was. I'm sorry?
We put it toward the employee that does this, and, postage, paper, office supplies.
Okay, I didn't know where that percent, and what is the percent? Is it 7? What is?
It depends on what you guys pass the
What-
resolution
what
for
has
this
it?
The
year.
law
Okay,
requires
Hold on.
at a minimum 85% go to a not-for-profit for tourism promotion. The 14 budget has the 85% earmarked for a vendor, 50,000 for the matching funds program that the vendor would administer. They wouldn't necessarily benefit from, but the end businesses benefit from. It's a matching program, so if they put up $1,000 for advertising, we would match that. So they get basically for what they're paying, they get double the amount of buys for their advertising dollars. And then there's this $20,000 for a room tax audit.
Okay, So, we originally were getting back when I came on, not prior to when I became a legislator. When I became a legislator, all of the money had gone to, right? And then we always had the right to keep 15%. We took back that right for the 15% sometime within the last year or two. And did we give it back? And how much?
I think you only passed a resolution.
Okay.
We gave back
All right,
half
that's
of
what
it.
I'm,
Yeah, but you're, from the law, from the way the state law reads, you're required to give them that no less than 85%.
okay,
That 15% is a discretion of the board on how that gets allocated.
okay. So we're using we're keeping only 7.5%, and most of that 7.5% is to pay the salary and the postage and stuff, not audit.
Oh, we put it toward that, but as Josh
No,
said,
you-
that this year they put it in as for the audit.
What we're keeping
Okay.
for true administration is gonna be a lot less, I don't have the exact figure, but I wanna say that 15% is in the neighborhood of 80 or 90,000. 50 of that's going for the matching and 20 of it's going for the room tax audit. So there's very little in there that we're actually keeping for our own administration. I'll get you the exact numbers, but it's probably around $20,000.
But at some point in time in there, we are auditing.
Well, that is,
issues
for
that were-
14, we would, have an audit.
Okay, thank you.
John, can I ask a question? Yesterday I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and Nadia asked whether any of the room tax goes back to the towns in which that tax is generated, and I said, I didn't think so. So the answer was right, no, it doesn't. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you, Nancy. Art?
Thank you. Much of the same continues in the grants department, very busy, writing proposals, routing funding opportunity notifications, and affording technical administration assistance to various divisions and departments within the county. So a couple quick notes, on the awards and declination end. Public Health Services advised us that they have received a $4,900 award from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, which will enable them to move forward with the community planning efforts to implement its community health improvement plan with key partners throughout the county. They notified us that they received a declination from the March of Dimes. They submitted a proposal, I think it was for $50,000, for a quality improvement project for the purpose of decreasing the number of premature deaths in the county. On the grants closeout end, we did have a Homeland Security grant closeout. This was a total award for the Office of Emergency Management of $276,722. We expended $208,777, so there remains roughly $68,000 that was left unexpended on that grant.
Does that mean we have to give it back?
No, that's a reimbursement program, so there's no money that's gonna be going back, it's just that things will not be purchased. with the
Oh,
money.
okay, got it. And what was the deadline on that? Sorry, Art.
The grant term end date was November 30th, 2013 on that. The microenterprise project program closed out. Jill is here, she may want to add a little more detail, but they did a good job with it. They had $166,000 in grant money, of which 99.88% was expended, $165,800. $200 was left over in the training reimbursement category. They funded 8 projects. A total of 6 full-time jobs were created, and all jobs have been maintained and are going to be monitored throughout. Good news on the HEAL grant. Yesterday we received our December voucher. So our total money, funding actually received from the HEAL grant at this point is $1,088,055.46, of which there was a balance of $41,994. We received notification from the Department of Health that because of our performance on the grant and our meeting the deadline that they had established of December 31st, 2013, they're willing to afford us some more time to draw down more money. So we have until, I believe it's February 10th, Angela, to have all of our paperwork into DOH, and we anticipate expending out of that total balance roughly an additional $23,000 to $25,000. That's going to be for work that was originally noted in the work plan and as budgeted at present. So it's not like for new work, but it's to continue continue to improve what we started.
That is a miracle.
And that was, we've been very, and that's as I say all the time, it's a team effort. There were a lot of people involved with that. So kudos to everybody, county staff that worked on that project. And that's, I mean, there's other things going on, but those are the three main things that we have happening right now.
Thank you, Art.
Yep.
Questions for Art? Okay, we have a couple of resolutions from management and budget. One is to close out a completed capital project. Move a motion. Cindy, second. Cora? Questions for Josh on this? This is a routine closeout. All in favor?
5-0.
Okay, the second is to approve the revolving loan for Brandenburg Bakery, moved by Jean, seconded by Cindy.
Just wanna ask a question on that.
Yeah.
I asked at some other meeting earlier in the week, it looks like they're looking to improve things, and I wondered before, I think, Ira answered about, well, they weren't expanding or doing something different, and that's the reason why it was a loan and not a grant.
Building, it's the building that.
There is no, we don't currently have any true grant, free money. These are low-interest loans to help businesses expand. There's no just pots of money where you can access where you don't have to pay it back. Nice try.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All in favor?
Okay.
Motion
5-0.
carries. Thank you.
Well, there could be grants if
Yes.
they're successful, and that's.
Right. And then the third the resolution from MIS is to authorize a support agreement with Allen Tunnel, this is our tax collection software.
Motion.
Moved by Jean, seconded by Cora. I believe Nancy's here. This is the company we've used for quite some time.
This was discussed in committee, I think Ira discussed it, right, already?
This is
Well, Warren's here and he can explain it because it's his resolution, but this is a support, and it also includes the town, and this is actually a 2-year contract. We got missed last year, that's why it's so high.
So we're attempting to use this,
Tax collection.
It's our system.
are we losing money by doing this because we're doing something for the towns instead of, or are we gaining money because we're helping to audit for the towns?
This isn't an audit for the town, it's a, go ahead, Lauren.
This allows treasurers to manage and maintain their unpaids and their installment program,
Right.
which is also done on behalf of the towns. Are we losing money? No. In the end, we are sponsoring the towns, but because of the tax revenue that's generated through the installment program and the ability to manage the unpaids for those that have not paid their taxes, there's actually a net gain.
Okay.
Because you're actually able to get tax dollars more efficiently as opposed to just letting them.
To go one step forward, so you understand that back in 2000, 2002, when I first started, the county had a system that was way outdated, and each town had different systems, so when they collect from January to March 31st, and then they turn over their books to us, it was a nightmare. Our system and trying to collect their systems to get everything so that we had it properly. So I think it was in 2002, we started looking at a system that everybody could use. The towns are the same system in the sense that it's the same vendor, but it's not the same as what we have because they only collect for 3 months. We collect delinquent taxes, they collect current taxes. So it was an agreement that was done way back to have uniformity between the town and the county, and that was the agreement that
And this
the town
is
support
allowing
is
for that
included in.
uniformity?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes, it is.
thank you.
Cora?
Yep, I've used the Allen Tunnel system, I think it's a great system, anybody can use it, it's open to the public. Where I'm a bit confused, is if it's a 2-year contract, the period where the resolution says that it was, the prior contract was January 1st, 2012 to
Correct.
12/31, and so the total contract cost for your contract period is January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2014.
Right.
So I'm not clear on,
There was no maintenance and support agreement contract in place for 2013 because there was a question about how we were going to continue with Allen Tunnel moving forward. With the adoption of the 2014 budget, money was earmarked within my budget on behalf of the treasurer to develop a new system that, while we've been using this since 2002, it's a 14-year-old system, it's 14-year-old programming, it's a 14-year-old database.
I have no question about that.
No,
I just,
so because of the fact that there was no contract in place, the question of how we're moving forward was answered with the adoption of the 2014 budget. And while we developed a new piece of software, this contract now just covers the period that we're gonna be doing the development on the new piece.
so that means we owe the back
We
year?
owe back, yes.
Okay, now I'm clear.
So this is a 14-year-old system that we're continuing because we're working on a new system at this time?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
That's it.
Okay, we did have a request, and Josh is going to, work on a draft of a, debt and bonding policy with, the treasurer's office, and we're gonna try to get that circulated this month and have that on for discussion for February, but that's gonna take a little time in doing so. We'll have that for the February meeting. When we meet.
Was that, I'm sorry.
You had requested some, debt
Yeah,
and bonding policy.
Guidelines for bonding?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so-
what we had talked about.
Okay.
So that'll be on for February.
And will we also get the figures of what the debt, this is separate from a policy, just answering the questions that we asked last month. What is the impact of the $9.5 million bond on the bond rating and on the tax implications for the year that we start paying it off?
Yeah, but we can get that. I know Ira's office is working on some stuff, and I've been working with Alex and Vic to see how much of the $8 million we would absolutely need to bond for this year for the radio project. It's likely we'll be able to defer some of that into the beginning of 15, so we'll kind of split up that $8 million and have an impact all in one year.
Yeah, we won't know that
But
until the next
we were
round of
working on that.
plans.
We need to have conversations with Motorola and some of our other vendors to see what we can do.
But at least the impact of the $9.5 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
But Josh, you were still gonna work on like the cover sheet that any bond request would have attached
That's
to
what
that?
Jonathan's referring to for next time.
Okay.
Public comment? Hearing none, motion to adjourn? Cindy? Thank you. Right, even got you out on time.